Is your life right now actually so terrible, or is it just its constant comparison to somebody else's highlight reel that makes it feel terrible? I will preface this episode by saying, like, I'm probably speaking to a particular kind of audience, but even then, like, I do feel we have a general habit as human beings to always compare our lives to something better and then use it to kind of degrade the place that we're in. And I know nobody likes to hear the whole like, oh, well, there are people out there that have it worse than you thing, because a lot of the times when people bring it up, it's to invalidate some kind of real emotional or real painful experience that they are like currently having. And it's like, okay, well, it doesn't really help someone who's experiencing like clinical depression to consider the fact that other people's lives are objectively harder. And I can say that as someone who knew I was living a very like charmed and privileged life and was still like horribly clinically depressed. However, I'm not saying that to you because we're in the middle of a conversation where you're complaining about something. I just want you to genuinely pause and think about the fact that the life you're living right now, in some way, and probably in many different ways, is somebody else's literal dream. Okay? So there's somebody else out there who also probably to somebody else has a dream life too. But somebody else out there is thinking about your life and thinking like, when I get to like that point in my life, I will allow myself to be happy, because they've put the life that you live right now onto that kind of a pedestal, right? And I always talk about how people spend so much time like postponing their happiness. So they tie their happiness to specific milestones or achievements. And then ultimately, when those milestones and achievements come, your mind just finds new things to want, because all throughout the day, I mean, having desire and running away from, inconvenience or, discomfort or whatever it is, as a human being, it's like just central to like how our brains think on like a primal level. So desire is never going to go away. So when you tie your permission to experience joy or gratitude for your life or whatever it is to milestones, then you're always postponing your happiness. And then ultimately, when the milestone is achieved, you realize that, okay, I'm still me. It's still the same brain that I brought along with me all throughout this journey that I did not allow myself to be happy during. It's still the same brain that's with me on the day that I hit said milestone. And that brain will continue on with me when that milestone passes. So when all the, the joys and the excitements and the adrenaline of the fact that you hit that certain achievement passes, it'll still be you, and you'll have a new desire, and then you'll tell yourself, okay, I'm going to tie it to the next achievement. And so where I'm going with this is, okay, we already see how that doesn't make sense to do. And knowing that something doesn't make sense to do doesn't really necessarily make you want to change your behavior. But I think sometimes like becoming self-aware, becoming aware of like your habits and behaviors does get you one step closer to adjusting them once you realize they're not serving you, because that kind of fundamental like mindset change on some level does kind of have to come from within. Like nobody can force you to view your life with gratitude. You kind of have to pause, think of it, and let it settle in and have a level of buy-in. I think the same way you can send people to rehab 60 times, but if they weren't genuinely ready to be rehabilitated and invest in themselves in the process and commit to that transformation, then it's like putting a Band-Aid on like a broken bone. Like they're not going to come out of it healed just because you sent them to rehab, because they don't have the personal buy-in. So anyways, right, this idea that like your life right now is somebody else's dream, that doesn't mean that your life doesn't have its own flaws. But it just makes me think about how my entire life, I feel like I've been surrounded by very privileged people who still were not happy, right? So, and people love to say like, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. And the thing is, like, it doesn't, because like it doesn't buy happiness. Of course, it buys other things that are better than experiencing poverty, 1000%. But it doesn't buy lasting happiness, contentment, fulfillment, because even those people who have so much more than what the average person has. They don't even know how much more they have because they're probably sitting next to someone that has even more than them that makes them seem normal. Like I think the word middle class, I guess to be fair though, in a world with like so much wealth disparity, it's not that shocking that everyone kind of assumes they're middle class, even when they're actually not middle class, if someone did the numbers. But yeah, it's like, okay, even those people that are experiencing wealth or whatever it is are sitting right next to other people experiencing it times like 100 or times 1,000. So it just makes them always feel, quote unquote, like less than, in a sense. But I think this constant comparison people do to the lives of their neighbors, that comparison point is where you find misery. Not in the actual lived experience that you are having sometimes, although sometimes, of course, that can be unpleasant, but more so in the fact that you are thinking about the fact that somebody else out there has it better than you or easier than you or more glamorous than you in some way. And your fixation on what they have does not allow you to enjoy what you have. So for example, if we talked about bodies, okay, maybe there's an ideal type of body type that you wish you had, and you are seeing it all the time on social media and you're comparing yourself to this body type. Oh, I just wish I was in shape and this and that. And then you don't even get to enjoy the fact that your body, even if it's not shaped the way that you prefer, is healthy. It's healthy. It gets you to where you need to go. You're not experiencing like chronic ailments or chronic illnesses. Like there's a level of you miss what you can be grateful for because you are almost like creating a misery of your own by living in the gap between what you have and what somebody else has. And I think it's such a shame. But it's such a natural human activity. But it really is such a shame because the reality is, yeah, you can, if you spent a little bit less time in that gap, in that like, oh my goodness, this is what I look like, this is what they look like, I now feel like shit, and spent more time in the, oh my goodness, I'm so glad like my body works. And because my body works, like I can move it and I can use it to have fun and I can move my body. I can try to like get into whatever particular body shape that I want. If I just show a little, if I just like try to add on these habits to my day-to-day lifestyle or whatever it is. But really even beyond that, just basking in the fact that of like your body's strengths instead of basking in the gap. And that's like a specific example, but it really goes for anything. Like when it comes to even like riches, this is a very American thing too. Like I feel like there's so much overconsumption in the States, and the reality is for everything you can get that's really expensive, frankly, if it's not even made in the exact same places the cheap stuff's made in, because at this point like price does not mean quality anymore, but for everything you can get extremely expensive, like you can also get cheap alternatives of it. So sometimes, at least in the States, having less money than like your ultra wealthy neighbors, and of course I know I'm speaking to a specific tax bracket, but it's also to like wake up that tax bracket that's like, you are, I'm sorry, complaining a little bit too much. You have everything you need to be happy, and you are fixated on like the fact that you don't live like Kim Kardashian, and like you don't need to live like Kim Kardashian to be happy. And I think that's the point of this episode. Like, of course, if you're experiencing like abject poverty, I'm probably not like speaking to that experience, but you don't need to live like Kim Kardashian to be happy. And so, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But yes, like I was saying, right, as much as like there are options for like super pricey things with all the designer name brands and all of that crap, there are still like very gorgeous alternatives that cost less money. And so you're not really going without just because you're not getting the specific name brand thing. This isn't me shaming anyone for having desires, because I also know I'm not someone that necessarily desires those kinds of things. And I'm not shaming anyone for wanting something, okay? If there's anything you want in this life, you have every right to go after it. I just think you could spend more time enjoying the pursuit of the thing that you want if you weren't also constantly like, I guess, commiserating with yourself over the fact that you don't have it yet. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so for me, right, I don't really want for much, like as a person. My threshold, whenever people are like, oh, what do you do for fun? Like nothing. Like I can find nothing fun. And I'm not just like saying that. Like you can leave me, especially if I have my phone or a book or something, you can leave me alone for the entire weekend, or like I can sleep the entire weekend, or just be on my phone doing nothing, being horizontal, and I will genuinely feel like I'm having the time of my life. Like I don't need an activity to have fun. So it's like my threshold for joy is very low, to be fair, right? But it's like even though like I have that kind of behavior, there are definitely, I still have ambitions. I'm still an ambitious person. But in the pursuit of my ambitions, like career-wise, personally, whatever it is, in the pursuit of my ambitions, I don't punish myself for the fact that I haven't got there yet. It allows me to like be patient, but not patient to the point where I'm complacent and I'm not working towards my goals, but like it makes my life so much more fun on a day-to-day level, because even though I allow myself to want more for myself in any way, I still can enjoy the fact that my life is good right now, because it is good right now, even if I haven't done those things yet, or gotten to that point yet, or achieved those things yet, or bought that thing yet, or gone on that thing. Like my life right now is still objectively really, really, really good. However, if I was looking at someone who had the life of me on the other side of the different things I have ambition for, right? And I looked at that person's life and I was like, oh my goodness, they have this, this, and this, and like they do this, this, and this, and like, like I just wish my life was like theirs, and blah, blah, blah. Do you see how I'm spending a lot of time complaining? I'm not spending a lot of time doing, you know what I mean? Like, or even if I am still spending time doing, right? Because you can think these horrible things and still be productive. I'm now ruining it for myself. Like I'm ruining the journey for myself by making myself feel bad that the journey exists. But if I was just like, oh, okay, I have these ambitions, it's a gift to even want something. It's a gift to have a desire. And the pursuit of that desire is literally your life. Like, let's say the desire you have is to grow old, okay? It wouldn't be fun to just get to 80. Like it wouldn't make sense to envy people who are already 80 years old. Of course, you envy them because they've gotten to live this long life and it was guaranteed, or whatever it is. Like that would be logical of like, oh, I hope I get to do that one day too. But you wouldn't want to skip to 80, because that also means that like, okay, what, you're in your 20s now, maybe, or maybe not. Like a lot of people from across age groups listen to this podcast, which I love, but it's like whatever age you are right now, it might be a few decades until you're 80, right? So it's like you would be losing out on the life that happens in between now and 80. So what is there to gain from you wanting to skip all of that? But if you're spending all your time now being like, oh, I wish I was 80, I wish I was 80, I wish I was 80, and making yourself feel bad that you're not 80 years old yet, you don't even get to enjoy everything that comes in between until you get to 80 years old, because that's your life. And it's more obvious when we use like an age analogy, but it's literally the same concept for like anything you might have ambition for. And of course, there's some people that are like, well, I don't want to work for the things that I want. I just want someone to give them to me. And to that I say, I don't know how to help you, because I feel like the journey is like important in its own way and can also be enjoyable. But of course, maybe that's a different point of view. And frankly, even if you did want something to drop out of the sky for you, which I'm not opposed to thinking is possible, because again, I don't limit other people's self-beliefs ever. Okay. But even if you say, well, I didn't want to work for the thing, I just wanted it dropped into my lap. The kinds of people that get what they want without trying, like the kinds of people that get what they want effortlessly, they emit a sort of like frequency. There's an energy to them that is very open and like warm and loving, to where things just drop into their lap. And I can promise you that bitter, jealous mindset you have, that you think no one can obviously hear your thoughts, they can feel your thoughts, I fear. They can feel your thoughts, I fear, and the universe can feel them too. And so things won't drop out of the sky for people like that. the same way we talked about like a recent episode about how like the universe can only say yes to things. Like telling the universe what you don't want is not useful information, because it's like a waiter doesn't ask you what you don't want on the menu. They ask you what you do want so they can give it to you, right? Fixating on what you don't have and fixating on like your lack is not that energy of abundance that allows for like the law of attraction and the law of assumption and all of these things to like manifest, to allow you to manifest things effortlessly. So even if you didn't want to work for the life that you want, there's a certain kind of behavior, there's a way that you carry yourself, there's an openness and a joy, and not like you have to be joyful, but like, and even a baseline level of like gratitude that is fundamental in things dropping into your lap, because you're more open to opportunity that way. Negativity and pessimism and all of these things literally repel opportunity. I don't know if you've heard of that study or if we've talked about it before, but there's this study that they had two groups of people look at this. And one of the groups of people considered themselves lucky, I think, and the other group of people considered themselves unlucky. And they were both told to look at this newspaper and count the number of images in the newspaper. And on like the second or third page of the newspaper or something, there was like an ad or something written that said, there are like 43 pictures in this newspaper. If you are reading this, go tell the person conducting the study that you found this, because this is the number in the newspaper. You don't have to count it, right? So they literally didn't even have to do the work of counting every image. But then literally in the study, almost every single person that considered themselves lucky found that very obvious, blatant ad at the beginning of the newspaper and then like reported the correct number. And almost every single person that considered themselves unlucky did not see it. Like either like they did not see it, or I'm assuming too, maybe they saw it and didn't believe it was real, but like they did not see it, I'm pretty sure, is how this like the findings of the study were reported. So it's like their own like that like, how do you describe that? Like how do you describe that? They self-identified as like unlucky or whatever it is, but that pessimism, that negativity, that envy, that bitterness that you carry in your heart when you're constantly comparing yourself to your neighbor and feeling less than, that is, in the simplest terms, like a frequency that you are constantly emitting that is literally repelling very obvious opportunities from landing at your doorstep. So anyways, yeah, that was just to counter you if you're listening to this and thinking, well, I don't want to enjoy the journey. I just want to skip to the part where I'm Kim Kardashian. And it's like, that's not how that works. But yes, that's how that works. And you also can't do that if you have a bad attitude. So anyway, let me wrap this episode up before I like completely lose my train of thought. But I guess the goal of today's episode was just to like let you know that there's so much joy that exists in the pursuit of your ambitions. Even if they are going to happen like effortlessly and drop into your lap, it's still an experience you have to be open to. And there's an energy and a lightness that comes with having gratitude for who you are today, and having gratitude that you're even in a position to work towards or experience the steps that are going to surprise you ultimately, because the things that come between you and the life that you want, especially if it's a big life that you dream of, they're going to surprise you. But being open to those surprises, you're much more open to them if you're willing to just be more grateful for who you are today and stop punishing yourself for the fact that there is a gap. Don't worry about the gap. Just like keep moving every single moment, and don't worry about the gap. Punishing yourself because the gap exists means that you will literally never be happy, because even when you get to the point where you have everything you want, you will find more things to want. When was the last time you ordered like, I don't know, DoorDash or like just like delivered food? Did that mean you never wanted food again? No, I'm sure you still got hungry, maybe an hour later for something sweet, or definitely the next day for breakfast. Like, you know what I mean? Like having a desire and even having that desire like be delivered to you does not ever stop a human being from wanting. So you cannot tie your joy to wanting, and you also shouldn't tie a constant misery to the fact that what you want is not what you currently have. Yeah, so that's all for today. Thanks you guys for listening. I'm so excited for my chai this morning. I'm also like really hungry. Anyways, welcome to Live Lumani. My name is Obie, and if you made it all the way to this episode point, you can comment. I always like look at random things around my room and I tell you guys what to comment, but comment some books or something. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Mwah.